Do you have an old Technics record player? This one here is 50 years old and it's got a broken plastic hinge on the top of the lid as well as in the base of the machine. And this episode of Making with Laz, we're going to be seeing if we can use 3D printing to solve both of these problems. So let's get into it. On one side of the machine, this one right here, we've got a working hinge. So this one has no issues, but on this side, we've got a broken hinge on the lid side. So for the other side, we've got a broken hinge on the machine side and a working hinge on the top side. So what we're going to need to do at the very least is swap those two around, and we're going to have to do some redesigning to get the other parts to work. We can take a closer look at the parts now. So we've got the broken one and the working one. So the working one has this little pocket on the inside that we can use to slide the lid into. And the broken one is kind of missing that part. So we're going to have to take this one apart and figure out how to do that. So taking a closer look at it, it looks like there's no way to take it apart without doing some destructive disassembly. So there is a pin that got pushed down so that it's kind of impossible to actually take apart without physically cutting it off. So we're going to have to do that, but at the very least, we'll be able to save the part and not have to order a new one. After spending a bit too much time trying to take this apart, we finally have the different pieces. So we have the main hinge piece. We've got ourselves the pin that holds it all together. Then we've got the plastic piece which is currently broken and holds the spring. And then we also have a little plastic spacer piece that we'll have to remake. So let's get into Onshape and start modeling. So what I'm doing is I am cross-referencing the original part that I have that is currently disassembled as well as the one that's still fully assembled because we don't really want to destroy the part that is already kind of working. So we're going to start off by kind of slowly putting the general shape of the part together and just kind of figuring out how it all links together. So I realized that there would be an easier way to do this by designing it this way compared to what I had initially. So I just kind of go back and forth to try to figure out what the ideal way to put all this together is. So we just kind of go feature by feature and then just slowly build it all up until we have something that kind of resembles the original part. So here we're just kind of making the small little cutouts and stuff that go through there. So there's the little pocket that holds the top of the lid and then the little teeth that also hold it. And then here's the little washer piece that is pretty much used to hold it or just space the little part out between the little metal part here. So there's that part there. And then now we can get back to the actual assembly. Here is our first revision of our prototype. So I just printed in gray just so I can kind of differentiate the final part. Just kind of taking a closer look, at least dimension-wise, it seems like it is pretty close or pretty spot on. Let's take a closer look at that there. So you'll see that part of it's missing. We can't exactly compare, but looking at it next to the actual one, it looks pretty close. What we're going to do now is take out the spring from there and see if it fits. And I can quickly tell that I had missed a feature or something that I didn't see because the spring itself does not fit. We're going to have to go back to the drawing board and add ourselves an extra slot there to let the spring fit. Then the other thing we still want to check is to see if it fits on the hinge. So what we'll do is we'll just slide it right on there. So the original one has a fairly loose fit, but the one I have right here, let's see, it is also a pretty loose fit. But since we're going to be attaching it onto the broken one, we're probably going to want a slightly tighter fit, so we'll increase that tolerance a little bit more there. So making that small little change, we should now have our next revision of our prototype. So let's see if the spring fits. So taking that in there, it seems to fit pretty well, so we can move on with our final design. We now have all our parts made, so we've got our original parts as well as our printed part right next to them. And now to assemble everything. So we're going to put the spring in there and then put the pin through everything, and then it should all be together. We're going to now take it to the actual record player. So we're going to start off with the right-hand side. So this is the side that has the existing hinge that we're not going to be changing at all. So we'll snap in the original hinge into place, and then we'll move on to the left side with our brand new hinge. So we'll snap that into place as well. Now we're going to move the cables out of the way here and then make room for the lid. So the right side slides in pretty easily, but the left side, since it's a little bit smaller here, might give us a little bit of problems lining up. But it seems like once we kind of get that slid into there, it does a pretty decent job at holding it in place. We'll just give the lid a couple of test opens and closes here to see if it pops off. So we'll do that a handful of times here. It seems like it's holding it pretty well. closes pretty well and holds its position, so that's what we're looking for. So that's awesome. But unfortunately, not all good things end when you hope they do. So I ended up having the problem where this hinge would keep sliding out. So what I did is I drilled a hole into part of the plastic and designed a new bracket with a little hole inside of it. So what we do is we slide that piece on now, same as we did before, and then we take a screw. So I'm using these bamboo self-tapping screws here, and all we have to do is, that's the part number there, the AA196. So that one's a 10mm one, but I'd probably recommend using an 8mm one. But all we have to do is just thread the screw all the way through. So it's threading onto the top part of the 3D print, it's going through the original plastic, and then once again, it's threading in to the 3D print again. So it's got quite a bit of pressure on there so that it should hopefully keep it in place, and it also kind of keeps the original aesthetic of the entire top lid compared to other ones where you completely grind it off and replace it. Looking at it, it is pretty much identical to the original one, besides just a little bit of the screw sticking out. I tried making it sunk in there, but it made it a bit too weak. But now we don't have the issue of the entire thing sliding out. So if you were to want to take the lid off, all you have to do is unscrew that one bolt. If you have the same issue with your record player, then I'll be leaving these files in the description below. And I'd also appreciate it if you'd leave a like, a comment, or subscribe. And if you have the same issue, let me know and I can maybe try doing it for other record players as well, because I know this hinge is compatible with multiple Technics record players. I hope you enjoyed, everyone, and I'll see you next time.